Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to our channel, where we focus on making life simpler and more enjoyable for seniors. Today, we're diving into a topic that many of us can relate to, the clutter that builds up in our bathrooms over time. Have you ever walked into your bathroom and thought, why do I have so much stuff? Old bottles, expired products, and items we never use can make our bathrooms feel more like storage units than a place of relaxation. As we age, keeping our homes organized and safe becomes increasingly important. A cluttered bathroom can not only be frustrating, but also pose safety risks, especially for seniors. Wet surfaces and disorganized spaces can lead to accidents, which is the last thing we want. In this video, we will explore 15 common bathroom items that seniors should consider removing right away. By decluttering, we can create a safer environment that feels more inviting and enjoyable. Before we jump into the list, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on your own bathroom. What items do you think you could live without? Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Now, let's get started on this journey to a tidier and safer bathroom. All right, friends, let's start with something that often goes unnoticed. Those tiny soap slivers. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Those little thin pieces of soap that cling to the corners of your soap dish, refusing to dissolve completely. We've all been there, right? You might have tried to stack them together, hoping to create a new bar, or maybe they just sit there collecting dust and grime. Now, I understand the mindset of waste not, want not. It's something many of us were taught growing up. However, let's be honest, how many times have you actually used those soap slivers to the very end? More often than not, they end up stuck in the drain or forgotten in the shower. Here's the reality. These little bits can create clutter and even become a safety hazard. Wet, slippery surfaces are a leading cause of falls, especially for seniors. So, what can we do about them? If you're feeling guilty about tossing them, consider placing the slivers in a small mesh bag and using it as a gentle scrubber for your hands or feet. But if you have more slivers than you know what to do with, it's okay to let them go. A clean bar of soap not only feels better to use, but also makes your bathroom look tidier and more inviting. So, let's say goodbye to those tiny soap slivers. Now, my friends, let's talk about those tiny travel-sized toiletries that seem to multiply every time we stay at a hotel. You know the ones I mean, little bottles of shampoo, conditioner, and lotion that you bring home thinking, this will come in handy someday. They might look cute and convenient, but let's face it, how many of these do you actually use? For most of us, the answer is not nearly as many as we've collected. Those mini bottles often end up tucked away in a drawer, taking up space and gathering dust. And while it's nice to think about traveling, the reality is that we don't go on trips as often as we might like. And when we do, we usually prefer to bring our favorite products instead of relying on whatever generic items the hotel provides. Moreover, these tiny bottles can expire. If they've been sitting around for years, chances are they're no longer effective. And we should also consider the environmental impact. Single-use plastics are harmful, and many hotels are phasing them out in favor of refillable dispensers. So, what's the solution? Keep only what you know you'll use and consider donating the rest to local shelters. They often appreciate travel-sized toiletries for those in need. Let's declutter and make space for the items we truly love and use. What do you think? Have you found any hidden treasures in your bathroom? All right, friends, let's move on to a common culprit in our showers. Those almost empty shampoo and soap bottles. You know the ones I'm talking about, the bottles that you tilt, shake, and squeeze, desperately trying to get that last little bit out. While I admire your determination to use every drop, let's take a moment to ask ourselves, at what point are we just rinsing our hair with scented water instead of actually cleaning it? We've all grown up with the idea that wasting anything is a no-no, and I understand that sentiment. However, holding on to these nearly empty bottles doesn't save you money. It only adds to the clutter in your shower. How much product are you really getting out of those last few pumps? More often than not, these bottles just sit there for weeks or even months, gathering grime and soap scum. Here's my advice. Give that bottle one final wash, and after that, it's time to recycle it and move on. A clean, clutter-free shower isn't just more pleasant, it's also safer. Fewer bottles mean fewer things to trip over. Remember, safety is key. So be kind to yourself, declutter those old bottles, and make room for fresh ones. Trust me, you'll enjoy a tidier and more inviting shower space. What about you? How many almost empty bottles do you have lurking in your shower? Now, my friends, let's take a little trip to your bathroom cabinets and drawers and talk about those sample-sized skincare products that tend to accumulate over time. You know the ones, those tiny packets and jars you got as free gifts from beauty counters or during online orders. At first, they seem exciting, and you think, I'll try these later. But let's be honest, how often have you actually used them? More often than not, these samples end up gathering dust in the back of a drawer, forgotten and untouched. And as time goes on, they lose their potency and effectiveness. Using expired skincare can lead to irritation or breakouts, which is the last thing we want. So, what should we do with these little containers? If you haven't used a sample by now, chances are you probably won't. It's time to let them go. If you tried one and didn't love it, why keep the rest? However, if you have samples of products you already use and enjoy, organize them neatly so they're easy to grab when traveling. Next time you receive a sample, think carefully. Will you really use it, or will it just become another item in your cluttered collection? Let's clear out those skincare samples and make space for the products that truly work for us. What about you? Do you have any forgotten skincare samples just waiting to be used? All right, friends, let's talk about something that is crucial for our skin health: sunscreen. We all know we should be using it, but how often do we check the expiration date on that bottle sitting in our bathroom cabinet? If you're squinting at the label, trying to find that tiny date, chances are it's been there for quite a while. Here's the important thing to remember: sunscreen does expire. It's not like lotion or shampoo that simply loses its scent over time. Expired sunscreen loses its effectiveness, meaning it won't protect your skin from harmful UV rays. That bottle from last summer? It's basically just an expensive moisturizer now, and not a very good one at that. As we age, our skin becomes more delicate, and the risk of sun damage increases. Studies from reputable sources indicate that older adults are at a higher risk for skin damage and skin cancer due to a lifetime of sun exposure. Using expired sunscreen puts us at even greater risk. So let's keep it simple. Check your sunscreen expiration date today. If it's past due, toss it. Moving forward, buy sunscreen in reasonable amounts. A giant bottle might seem like a bargain, but if it lasts too long, it's wasted money. Make sure you have fresh sunscreen ready to go so you can enjoy the sunshine safely. How often do you check your sunscreen? Have you found any expired bottles hidden away? All right, friends, let's take a moment to discuss something we all use every day: our towels. Now, be honest with me, how old are your bath towels? If you're thinking, well, I think I bought these back when my kids were in diapers, then it's definitely time for an upgrade. We all have that one towel, the one that's faded, frayed at the edges, and feels rougher than a scouring pad. It used to be fluffy and soft, but now it feels like you're drying off with a piece of cardboard. Towels don't last forever. Over time, they lose their absorbency and can even trap bacteria. Experts recommend replacing bath towels every 2 to 3 years, but many of us hold on to them far longer than that. I understand the sentiment. We've been raised to make things last. However, there's a difference between being resourceful and keeping items that no longer serve us. So, what should we do with old towels? Don't just toss them in the trash. Give them a second life. Animal shelters and rescues often need towels for bedding and cleaning. You can also repurpose them as cleaning rags for windows, floors, or even your car. When it's time to buy new towels, treat yourself to soft, absorbent ones. You deserve a little luxury in your daily routine. Have you checked the age of your towels lately? All right, friends, let's take a closer look at a serious issue that many of us might overlook: expired medications and empty pill bottles in our bathroom cabinets. If you haven't done a thorough check of your medicine cabinet recently, it might be time to do so. You might be surprised at what you find hidden away. Expired medications can be quite dangerous. Once they pass their expiration date, they may lose their effectiveness, meaning they won't work as they should. In some cases, certain expired medications can even change chemically and become harmful. This is particularly concerning for seniors who may rely on these medications for their health and well-being. So, what should you do? Start by checking the expiration dates on all your medications. If you find any that are expired, it's crucial to dispose of them properly. Many pharmacies and community centers offer medication take-back programs where you can safely return old prescriptions. If that's not an option, follow the FDA guidelines. Mix the pills with an unpalatable substance like coffee grounds or kitty litter, seal them in a plastic bag, and throw them in the trash. And as for those empty bottles, unless you're reusing them for something specific, they just add to the clutter. It's time to recycle them or discard them. A clean medicine cabinet not only reduces clutter, but also helps ensure that you have easy access to the medications you actually need. Have you checked your medicine cabinet lately? What hidden surprises might you find? All right, friends, let's talk about something that might be collecting dust in your bathroom: unused hair tools. Whether it's curling irons, straighteners, or even those crimpers that were once all the rage, we've all bought these tools with the best intentions. We thought, I'll style my hair more often, or I need this for special occasions. But let's be honest, how often do we actually use them now? For many of us, our hair routines have simplified over the years. Maybe we've embraced our natural texture, or perhaps we found a low-maintenance style that suits us better. If you haven't touched a hair tool in over a year, it's time to ask yourself a few questions. Does it still work? If it's broken or overheats, it's time to recycle it properly. Do I really need it? If you only reach for one tool regularly, why keep 3 others that are just taking up space? Consider donating gently used hair tools to women's shelters or charities that can benefit from them. Decluttering these forgotten gadgets not only frees up space, but also helps someone else who might need them. So, take a moment to evaluate your hair tools. Which ones do you actually use and which ones could you let go? Remember, a clutter-free bathroom makes for a more functional and enjoyable space. All right, friends, let's dive into a crucial topic that often gets overlooked: expired medications and empty bottles in your bathroom. If you haven't checked your medicine cabinet in a while, now is the perfect time to do so. You might be surprised at what's lurking in there. Expired medications can pose serious risks. Once they pass their expiration date, they may not only lose their effectiveness, but can also become potentially harmful. Some medications can change chemically over time, leading to unexpected side effects or reactions. This is especially concerning for seniors who may rely on these medications for chronic conditions. So what can you do? Start by sorting through your medicine cabinet. Check the expiration dates on all your medications. If you find any that are expired, it's important to dispose of them properly. Many pharmacies and community centers offer take-back programs where you can safely return unused or expired medications. If that's not available, you can follow FDA guidelines. Mix the pills with an unpalatable substance like coffee grounds or kitty litter, seal them in a bag, and throw them in the trash. As for those empty bottles, unless you plan to reuse them, they're just adding to the clutter. Recycling or discarding them will help you maintain a cleaner, more organized space. A tidy medicine cabinet not only looks better, but also makes it easier to find the medications you actually need. Have you taken a good look at your medicine cabinet lately? What surprises might you discover? All right, friends, let's talk about something that many of us might not consider: expired skincare products. We all love a good skincare routine, whether it's a luxurious cream or a refreshing face mask. However, it's important to remember that these products don't last forever. Take a moment to check your skincare stash. That half-used jar of moisturizer sitting in your cabinet for over a year, it's probably past its prime. Once skincare products expire, they lose their effectiveness, meaning they won't provide the benefits you're hoping for. Worse still, expired products can harbor bacteria, which can lead to irritation, breakouts, or even allergic reactions. So how can we manage our skincare collection effectively? First, check the expiration dates. Many products have a small symbol on the packaging, often a jar with a number inside it, indicating how many months they're good for after opening. If you notice any changes in texture, color, or smell, it's time to toss them. If you haven't used a product in over a year, ask yourself, will I really use this now? If the answer is no, let it go. By decluttering your skincare products, you not only make space for new ones, but also ensure that you're using fresh, effective products on your skin. How often do you check your skincare for expiration dates? It might be time for a little spring cleaning in that cabinet. All right, friends, let's discuss something that might be hiding in your shower: old loofahs and bath sponges. You might not think of them as clutter, but if you have more than you actually need, or if some have been there for too long, it's time to take a closer look. Loofahs and bath sponges don't last forever. In fact, dermatologists warn that they can trap bacteria, mold, and dead skin cells over time, especially if they remain damp in a humid bathroom. A study found that bath sponges can become breeding grounds for bacteria after just a few weeks of use. Yikes. So here's what you should do. check the age of your loofahs and sponges. If they're more than 3 to 4 months old, it's time to toss them out. Not only are they less effective, but they could also be harboring harmful bacteria. If you find that you have more than you need, consider donating or repurposing them. Some sponges could be used for cleaning around the house instead of bathing. Remember, maintaining a fresh and clean bathing environment is essential for your skin's health. Consider switching to washcloths, which are easier to clean and can be tossed in the laundry after each use. So, take a moment to clear out the old loofahs and sponges. You'll feel better knowing your bathing routine is both effective and hygienic. How often do you replace your bathing tools? All right, friends, let's take a moment to tackle that mystery drawer in your bathroom, the one filled with tiny beauty samples. You know the ones I mean, those little jars and packets you received as free gifts with purchases or at beauty counters. At first, they seemed exciting, and you thought, I'll definitely try these later. But let's be honest, how many of these samples have you actually used? For many of us, these samples end up piled up and forgotten, collecting dust in the back of a drawer. And as time goes on, they can lose their potency and effectiveness. Using expired samples can lead to skin irritation or breakouts, which is the last thing we want. So, what can we do about these little beauty treasures? If you haven't used a sample by now, chances are you probably won't. It's time to let them go. If you've tried a sample and didn't love it, why keep the rest? However, if you do have samples of products you love, consider organizing them neatly so they're easy to find when traveling. Next time someone offers you a beauty sample, think twice. Will you really use it, or will it just add to your clutter? Let's clear out those unused beauty samples and make space for the products that truly work for us. How many forgotten beauty samples do you have hiding away? It might be time for a little decluttering. All right, friends, let's dive into some other unnecessary items that might be taking up space in your bathroom. We often accumulate a variety of products that we think we might use someday. But let's face it, if we haven't touched them in a while, it's time to reconsider their place in our lives. Take a look around your bathroom. Do you see extra bottles of lotions or creams that you bought but never really liked? Perhaps there are old hair products that didn't work out as you hoped. Or maybe you have gadgets and tools that seemed useful at the time but have since gathered dust. These items can clutter your space and make it harder to find what you actually use. Here's a simple rule. If you haven't used it in the past 6 months to a year, it's probably time to let it go. Consider donating any unopened products to local shelters or charities. They can often benefit from items that are still good, but just aren't a fit for you. By decluttering these unnecessary items, you'll create a more organized and functional bathroom space. A tidy environment not only looks better, but also makes your daily routines easier and more enjoyable. So, take a moment to assess what's in your bathroom. What can you let go of today? It's time for a fresh start. Well, friends, we've made it to the end of our journey through the clutter in our bathrooms. Today, we tackled 15 common items that many seniors can safely remove to create a cleaner, more organized space. From tiny soap slivers and travel-sized toiletries to expired medications and old towels, we've covered a lot of ground. Remember, the goal of decluttering isn't just to make your bathroom look nice. It's about creating an environment that is safe and comfortable for you. A tidy bathroom can help reduce the risk of accidents and make daily routines more enjoyable. It's amazing how a little decluttering can make such a big difference in how you feel about your space. As you go back to your bathroom, I encourage you to take action. Grab a trash bag or a donation box and start sorting through the items we discussed. You'll be surprised at how light and fresh your space feels once you let go of the things you no longer need. Before you go, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What items did you discover in your bathroom that you could let go? Share your experiences in the comments below as we can all learn from each other. Thank you for joining me on this decluttering journey, and here's to a cleaner, safer, and more organized bathroom. Until next time, happy decluttering.